listen only.
You. It is Thursday, February 9th, 2023. It is 5:05 p.m. This is a regular monthly meeting in the August Revision Port Authority. This meeting is called to order. Mr. Lawrence, any letters or communications to the board?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, approval of board minutes, December 13th, 2022, and January 12th of 2023. Mr. King?
Yep, both sets of minutes were reviewed and I found them against the order, so I would move there too.
Motion's been made. There a second?
Second.
And seconded? All those in favor of approving the board minutes of December 13th, 2022 and January 12th, 2023, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved, and they are approved. Reports. Mr. Coffin, income and expense report?
We had a finance committee meeting and the income and expense report all appeared to be typical and normal. I wonder whether we could have Patty go over the material.
A piece of really good news for everyone. Our Tokens Trust Reserve account, which holds our compensating balance, which must be at $200,000, was over double that. So what we have done is we paid off the term loan with Commons, and we have brought our line of credit down to, our general line of credit down to $135,000. And we will probably take some more because we're still almost 200,000 over on the compensating balance, probably pay off the line. So some good news. Keep us going here. And we have received our Chrissy grant reimbursements, so we're able tomorrow to pay off what we borrowed from our Chrissy grant line of credit with Hopkins. We pay that off tomorrow, and that will be zero again until the next piece of quote comes in. If we look at our balance sheet, our accounts receivable regular are at $435,000. 87% of that is either current or 1 to 30 days. Oddly enough, one of the biggest things in the over 90-day is an agreement we made with a tenant to pay over 10 months. So it's just sitting out there as he pays every month toward that outstanding balance. The accounts receivable AEAS has come back in, so we're in the process of paying again, which will zero that out and then put about 250,000 back in that receivable. We received most of the wind turbine outstanding accounts receivable. That was being paid by the customer on 90 days. So as our intermediary had to wait 90 days to receive the money, we're still out at just a few dollars. Our construction in progress, we are working now. The MOSAP has been commissioned. So we will be able,
Really?
yes, we will be able to move approximately 1.9 out of construction in progress and make it a fixed asset. Mr. Lawrence and I are working on separating out what was harbor deepening and what is port expansion. So approximately, I'm not exactly sure about what of the 1.2, maybe half of it will be expensed. And unfortunately, because the harbor deepening project is not going anywhere at this time, any of the design work and original study work will simply have to be expensed for year end. We'll see this huge expense that will appear at year end, but it's an accumulation of all of the monies we've spent.
Of that, the information obtained and what was already engineering and whatever else they did, is that usable in the future?
it's usable, it may have to just be updated as far as like permits and things like that, but like all the information isn't changeable, and, you know, it's on paper, especially like the preliminary design and things like that. And just so everyone, the whole board knows that we had the option of just shutting everything down, but instead we opted for a quarterly report, either from us, from them, to say we're doing, maybe some funding comes through from them or ourselves that we're able to restart that, but rather than shut it down completely. But financially, it's been put on hold there until that outlook changes.
If we look at our account payable, you'll notice the AE tour is there at 650. That has all been paid off. We have just one bill in right now, the January bill, which is about $220,000. Of the accounts payable, the top 5, OMLC has been paid off. Our bridge inspection is about half, and everything else is paid off. So we have,
So the payment to the comptroller, the city of Ogdensburg, what was that for?
that was 2 legal bills.
We're still in compliant with the agreement?
They sent 2 at once, one was a month late,
They were late sending it to us.
and we still paid it in 38 days.
Excellent, thank you.
Are there any questions on the balance sheet? We'll move on to the budget to actual. All of our incomes is over budget, which is excellent, except the industrial park. And you'll notice that the monthly actual on the industrial park is up $7,500, and the underage has been reduced from 34 to 17, thanks to getting the 2 new tenants in the industrial park. So that will even out in the next month or 2.
Thank you,
by
Anthony.
year end.
Thank you.
Well done.
We've been able to keep most expenses within reason of either below budget or not that much over budget. We are 9 months into the fiscal year. So everything has been kept as close to budget as we can. We do have some maintenance expenses that were over budget for the year. And part of those, we budgeted a little under for rock salt than we are using. And our equipment rental, even though it can be rebuilt, we have budgeted much less than what is being spent right now, which is why our maintenance expense in the bridge is over budget. Our general expenses, we had an overage in some of our interest, and that was due to the last 2 bridge payments were held up on our getting them paid back to us, and therefore we incurred more interest. And we budgeted $80,000 for legal fees, and we are currently at $88,000. So we're a little bit over on a couple of those items. Our fuel sales expense, you'll notice, is much higher, but so is our fuel sale income. So those 2 offset one another. Our AEAS income and expense offset each other. Our utility expense under industrial park, we budgeted net, not gross utilities. So we will be over budget for this year. The maintenance expense, we had a repair to building 11 roof and a repair to building 1 HVAC's unit. So they've just brought the year to date a bit over budget. And under maintenance expenses, under the marine terminal, you'll find maintenance is over budget. Much of that is equipment and equipment rental. That again has been rebuilt, so you're seeing that in the overage in income. So they offset each other. We have just submitted the last ARPA submission for reimbursement. And after that, there will be no more government funding for the airport.
The maintenance expense at the airport,
Yes.
we're over the budget by 45,000. What's that about?
We had 2 sand deliveries back to back, so that part of it is timing.
And just that was, per ton cost was way over what we were used to spending. We had to get a special sand that was no longer available locally, so it came
Yeah,
from
I was
Syracuse.
gonna say, we used to get that right here in St. Lawrence
Yeah.
County, didn't we?
Yeah, we get that from Stouts. But there was some issue with the testing or the quality of that. So we had to go to Syracuse for that. So that was exorbitantly higher than what we're used to.
It was probably almost $3,000 just in haulage to get it here. And then we had a couple of back-to-back MX fuel invoices.
Okay.
So I would expect that should level out. We'll have to watch that
Okay.
closely.
Then the maintenance expense at the port, you mentioned equipment rental?
Yes, we had, what was it? The dozer?
Dozer and forklift.
The dozer and forklift that we had to rent.
Was that the last ship we received in, or?
For the last 3 ships, when we shape the pile, when we get everything in,
Okay,
that's rebuilt to the salt company. And then I think the forklift was we get a portion of revenue through the whole project, but on its own, it looks like an expense of ours, but it's recouped through the project.
Any questions?
so as far as year-to-date actual, our operating income before the reimbursements is 856,000 above what we had budgeted, correct? And we're 9 months?
Only 9 months.
Good. Thank you.
But some of those things have allowed us to have a higher compensating balance payout alone. We have put aside half of the 2023 anticipated retirement bill that's already been put aside. We have $100,000 put aside for the next piece of proceed equipment. I'm hoping that we don't need it in between, but our portion of the next piece of equipment is 177. We've
Mhm.
got 100 set aside for it now.
It's due later in the season.
It's due later, it's due in April or May, so we're hoping to be able to keep that money set aside and maybe add to it. We have also put aside the money for one of the items in other such matters, the need to repair the boiler here in this building. So we've already put that money aside for the repair. And we have some money put aside for what will possibly be an HVAC unit on building 1 at some time.
All right. So the Chrissy grant, have we received 3 of the 4?
2 of the 3.
2 out of 4.
2 of the,
2. The third one is what we have to pay.
no.
The 4th one,
Oh, the 4th one.
we'll get a lesser amount of reimbursement for the 3rd piece, and use up everything of the 800,000
Right.
that were due. And then on the 4th one, because the timing, and I think I explained to you that, and the cost of equipment kind of
Mhm.
blew that $1 million budget out to 1.2, I believe.
Yes.
So we kind of took on with all 4 of those pieces, we took on an extra roughly 190, 100 or 200,000 that wasn't anticipated 3 years ago when we were just slow in getting to, it was just slow getting that all going with, and then once again, the steel prices during COVID. I know everyone's sick of hearing it, but
So it's my understanding, and maybe you already know this, that any additional equipment we may need to buy will have to be American made. So when we consider that, we should probably think at how much that is going to cost us than if we had
That's
other
because of the new
possibilities.
state policy.
yeah, and all the Chrissy pieces of equipment
Where,
had a buy American component.
right,
There's certain exceptions, but there was one we rejected, the first load
Yes.
because it couldn't meet that.
yes,
So those, they fall under the federal regulations. I don't know about the current state ones, but I imagine that they're similar.
yeah,
We know the process.
okay. So we're thinking about, as we go through next year's fiscal year.
Mhm. Patty, are you
Yes.
wrapped? I've been thinking, stepping back from some of the details that are, I think, significant and interesting, and looking just at bottom line numbers. And there's some that I find interesting. I think that one way of looking at a financial report is to compare actual to budget. And when you do a budget, there's some things that you can't or haven't anticipated, things like changing our air service so that it's AEAS and has a different procedure for payments and so forth, which increase both our income and our expenses pretty much equally. So it took that out. And the fuel purchase and sales does much the same thing. You know, in another budget, you may budget that differently, but it's always appropriate, I think, or prudent for income projections to be conservative. And since it ties so closely to income and expense in that case, those two really stay pretty much in lockstep. So if I pull out from our expenses in the past 9 months, or in the 9 months through December, if I pull out AEAS and the fuel expense, we are just a tad under the budgeted expenses for the period. So, you know, good aim.
Mhm.
Good aim. But the other thing that was informative to me is to look at the line that says operating income. And the year-to-date actual is $1,669,038. And that's not all in the bank, you know, it's not working capital that we can use immediately because we were behind on some things. And because we were setting aside some funds for known future obligations. But that's really good news. You know, that's a very substantial step for the authority, even though some of that is due to federal support that won't be there. It nevertheless is money that we're better off this year than we were 12 months ago. And it will give us some resilience if we run short at some point. You know, you can't just pull all that back, claw it back, but there will, having caught up with some vendors, having put aside some money, this gives the authority a little bit of capacity for problems in the future. And I think that's really significant and very good. So, cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you, Patty.
Yeah. Chris, anything else?
That's it.
All right, thank you. Any questions of Chris or Patty? Now we'll move on to the bridge traffic report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a little review here. The border is open to both Canadian and American vaccinated travelers, and I think you probably read that maybe come May, I don't, maybe sooner, but I know there's been things in motion in Congress to eliminate the vaccine for foreign travelers, and that would take care of all of that. And even I think Brian Higgins, who's down in Buffalo, has been a pretty good advocate during COVID of opening the borders, but I think he introduced something. It may come sooner, but I do believe, barring any health emergencies out there, that we'd see that. I anticipate that would help us. So that's kind of where we are as far as the border is concerned. January crossings were down overall by 20%. I think Patty and I and Chris, and when we did the budget for and Sam, we kind of talked about 25%. So right there, we're already, that's a good lead into the next budget year that, you know, we anticipate, we hope that it just kind of stays like and keeps building to get lesser and lesser. So it was down overall 20%. Auto crossings were down roughly 22% over a normal year. And then truck traffic was down 9% over 2019. But some of that truck traffic, we bolstered our truck traffic with work at the port. With we did some in the end of January. Was that?
Yep.
Right. So we had some added. So, you know, conceivably that percentage could have gone up a little bit more because of that. But we were able to, we were trucking salt that was delivered right January 1st. They couldn't make it through the seaway. And we got two different types of salt. And we shipped most of one type, and then we're still currently shipping the other type. That's right, James?
Yeah, last I knew there were 4 trucks today for that second salt.
So we're still actively moving salt there. So that helps our truck traffic. And then overall revenue was down 20,000 over January 2019, which is a much smaller number than what we've been seeing over the last few years. And for what it's worth, traffic was up 140% over last year. Whoa. Yeah, well, it's meaningless. And then our 2022 bridge biennial inspection report was finalized, and it's going to be sent to the DOT and Transport Canada. And hopefully I can get them on board to do a presentation for the board soon. I know it's been delayed, but that's finally been there. And just to let you know, most of the issues that we've got to deal with on the bridge this year on the Canadian side, the US side really came out well, but that was due to the 19 million. And we incorporated that into our maintenance. With COVID and everything, we were limited, but to have that, all that work being done for us on our behalf really improved the condition of the bridge. And so now we're more focused on the problems that we have on the Canadian side, and they're all prioritized. So James, I, and the maintenance foreman, we all met and kind of went through this inspection and kind of have a plan to really to take on that. I think it's doable. We might not get all of the issues there, but it's prioritized and kind of a measuring stick that we can use at the end of the year with that. So feeling really good about that. Doesn't mean that there isn't work to do, but it really goes to show you that that injected money on the bridge really works out. So that's all I have.
Any questions regarding bridge traffic and concerns on the bridge? No?
I do want to thank Patty. If you can see that sheet in front of you, she's you put an Excel spreadsheet out there that will give you even a better idea of how to move forward of where we are.
Thank you. Airport activity report.
For January. I'm sure Aviation sent us their numbers yesterday. We had 25 flights go out instead of 52, 48 to 52. And plane passengers were 274. That is just off the cuff, an average of about 11 passengers per flight. Our flight load is 37%. The difference between the average number of travelers and the flight load is you divide the in-plane passengers for the flight load, not just by the number of flights, but the number of seats on every flight. So that's 274 divided by 25 times 30. And I just put down on the bottom, the minimum monthly passenger count to reach 10,000 enplanements in a year is 830. And my understanding is we do have this year's entitlement grant.
Yes, I think we were grandfathered through the COVID through this year.
Through this
So
year.
we're working on this, these numbers are working toward our entitlement for next
For
year.
next year. Do we have the grant yet? Have we applied for this year's?
No, it's being worked into the
Oh.
projects.
Okay.
We do have bill money that was separate from that, and that's going to help us on the terminal project. That I forget what the acronym stands for, but bipartisan infrastructure legislation, maybe law. We've received that. Well, we haven't received that money, but we've been granted that money, and that's going to be incorporated into the larger project there on the air side.
Okay, so just to make sure we're clear, the number of employments in 2023 will count toward what we receive in our annual federal, oh, I'm losing the acronym.
Entitlement?
Yeah,
If we hit 10,000.
right. But we're not using 2019 anymore. These are actual numbers from 2023.
Yeah, that's right.
May I check what's being counted as enplanements? Not deplanements.
No, employment.
Enplanements are ticketed passengers that
Yep.
go through TSA.
Yep.
Does not include hoppers, crew going home,
Sure.
that sort of thing. So it's just those who are ticketed that go through TSA.
Okay.
Okay, just so we're all clear that if we don't have 10,000 employments by January 31st of 2023,
December 30th.
I'm sorry, December.
Yep.
Then we will not receive the 1 million entitlement that we have in the past.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions? Board activity report. James, you doing that?
Yes, yep. A little more in depth this week or this month because of, like Steve said, we got a last minute vessel with 2 different salts, different from what else has been on site. First shown is the highway salt, and there was 23,862 ton trucked out last month. Next is the thaw rocks, and there was 5,664 ton. And the next 2 are the 2 products that were unloaded on the 1st of January. And as Steve said, the second is what has been completely trucked out of the port, and the other salt has been trickling back across the border, but another 1,000 and 9,481 ton. And
Well, wait a minute. So which one is going to, is it Montreal?
It's,
The bulk CC,
went to Valleyfield.
Valleyfield. And they've only taken 1,000 tons?
Sorry, that is to St. Catharines. And yes, they've only taken 1,000 of these 7.
Is that what they anticipated?
From what I've been in contact with, that they didn't have intent or any intent to quickly get it back across to its destination, such as the other chemical salt,
Yeah, it's quite a difference.
which was completely,
Right,
trucked in 1 month,
okay,
which helped in the bridge numbers.
yes.
And the last sheet is some of the gluten products, ag products. There was 569 ton and 400 ton trucked out with and then the 5th salt product, only 468 ton were trucked out, but it was a very productive month. 5 different salts on site with 2 different ag products. It was very busy. We kept things moving. That resulted in 41,478 tons in a month. We were asked to open early to accommodate some of the trucks going to Canada, just for purposes when you're making a 2-hour drive to be able to get 2-3 loads a day. And everything went smooth, and I believe we're actually the busiest port in.
Yeah, for the month of January, Compass said that we were the busiest depot that they had there, but what that means is it was a lot warmer south of us.
Yeah.
And in other regions, but they were, we'll take whatever recognition we
Yeah,
can
take the win, Steve.
Yeah, we'll take it.
I think that's great.
But it was pretty, months like that is, it's fortunate that we have 3 loaders on scene to get product out the
Yeah, the
door.
new Chrissy Grant loader really.
Right.
We would have probably had to rent one otherwise. So there's a payback in there.
Good.
And they just completed final production of thaw rocks for the season.
For the season,
So that was
that
also,
goes up in the Adirondacks. Any questions? No? James, thank you. Okay, building occupancy report and the industrial commercial prospect report.
Yeah,
Anthony.
so the good news is that the occupancy has not gone up, but then the vacancy hasn't gone down. So it's good and bad news. We're holding steady. Okay, so just if you want to break down, let's just pay attention to the Commerce Park campus. So building 1, almost 1,200 square feet of essentially commercial kitchen space that we have over there. So we've done some outreach to, just for instance, Cornell Cooperative Extension offers a commercial kitchen educational course. So I've reached out to the instructor of that course to say, hey, this is a potential offering we have in the Ogdensburg area. Keep us in mind for any of your students, things like that. The vacancy in building 4 is quite high. This past month, myself and the facilities team, James and the facilities team, we've done a pretty extensive walkthrough to identify areas to improve. So it's building 4 of what we want to see as improvements to be able to offer to potential tenants. So we've done that. We've reached out to some business publications in the Ottawa and the Eastern Ontario region on potential advertising once we've made those improvements. And then one step behind that is we've been in touch with some professional photography and potentially some drone footage and some kind of property walkthroughs to really highlight the space when the time is right, when we've made the improvements. So we're pretty optimistic that the work we'll put into that building and the level of clientele will attract will be a pleasant surprise for what we have going on. In regards to, say, the airport project, we've met with, for example, Taste New York to discuss a potential partnership with the concession space in the expansion project. We had a very good meeting. I brought our newest tenant, Frank Ralphs, down to Clarkson to meet with some research faculty to they have some pretty good programs going on that would be a benefit to them and maybe potential others in our Commerce Park. So I'm trying to build some inroads to make some company connections there. We've actually spent a little time on our social media presence this month. We've started to get our LinkedIn account built up a little bit. So as of this writing, we went from 17 followers to 127. I think today we're up to 156. So baby steps.
Grow step.
You
Yes.
should really only go up.
Yes. I think 2 might be the same person. I'm not sure. There might be relatives. Yeah. There might be some double counting. Yeah, and then just going over tenant renewals, pleased to report that so far we haven't had any new vacancies, which is great. And we're just, we prepare for anything really. So if someone wants to leave, we try to do whatever we can to get them to stay, but it's, in their best interest as well. So,
Right.
So thankfully, and it's like the budget numbers have proven, about summertime, we kind of took a nosedive down in tenant revenue, and I'm pretty optimistic over the next 2 months, right, before left in this fiscal year, we should at least meet budget, if not exceed, based on the new relationships we've made. So,
Good.
Yeah, so it's positive activity, and you'll be happy to know that it's February 23rd. I'll be in Ottawa, close to the embassy. I'll be at the mayor's breakfast. So,
Close.
yet again, baby steps.
Only a 5-minute walk.
Have you,
Got some new followers.
have you scheduled a meeting with the new, when that person gets there, new president of SUNY Potsdam?
It will be. Yeah. We also have a new St. Lawrence University president as well. And
That's
we
right.
do have a new Clarkson president.
That's right.
technically. So we've
You
been talking
You
about.
better start making a round. You have 8,700 square feet of non-rentable in building 1. Why is that?
Yeah, that gnaws on me as well. So building 1, really the way it's been chopped up, cobbed up, kind of,
It's common space.
yeah, a lot of it is common space,
You can't-
shared loading dock.
There's bathroom, there's
Oh.
a coat room
Yeah.
from the old tenant. There's
So
a
there's no
computer.
way of doing anything.
You block up other people's access if you
Yeah.
want to kind of try to rent all of that.
Yeah. So the amount of tenants in a building that was originally designed for one tenant.
Yeah, we've turned it
Right.
into, well,
Okay.
that goes with
Okay.
policies previously that. we
So it's like
could
an
make a
incubator.
Incubator.
building,
but
Yeah.
One
This is,
quarter of that works it pretty well.
yeah, we
But
have,
when you start bringing others in, it changes. That's why you get that
Right.
Yeah.
large of,
yeah.
Yeah, the others not so much, but that one building, I kind of caught my attention.
Yeah, I don't like that number as well.
Okay, good. And I see we have a vacant hangar.
Yes.
My understanding that the new Ogdensburg city manager is a pilot.
Very good.
So I think he doesn't start until sometime in early March. Jen, is that right?
March 1.
March 1?
Yep.
So maybe after he's been here a little while, we might want to invite him for a tour. Make sure we show him a hangar,
Mhm.
in addition to everything else we do. Yes,
Before you moved on, I just had a quick question.
sure.
Okay. Would you just remind me again, what is Frank Rouse?
So Frank Ralph's, they're a manufacturer of composite panels for the rail industry.
Okay.
So subway cars, mass regional transit vehicles, buses, marine, for example, they have the contract for doors for the Coast Guard vessels. So things like that, very similar to what the previous tenant was.
Mhm.
And they're based out of Montreal. They relocated from south of Buffalo because it's closer. And in our facilities, we had really something nice to offer. So,
Good. Okay.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Anything else, Anthony?
No.
All right, thank you. Unfinished business. Mr. Lawrence, is there any unfinished business?
No, Mr. Chairman.
General administration, agenda item A1.
Yes, so approval of easement supplement number 7 with National Grid. Staff has negotiated easement supplement number 7 with National Grid for an aerial cable easement over the railroad in the town of Lisbon for a 5-year term commencing October 7th, 2022, and terminating October 6th, 2027, at a rate of $2,600 for the 5-year term. All other terms and conditions of the original easement agreement shall remain in full force and effect and are hereby ratified and affirmed. And this easement is so actually behind the prison where we own property, industrial property that crosses over the railroad tracks.
Kind of runs along,
Yeah, then over
Back in the-
yeah, it runs parallel heading towards Norwood, right?
but it crosses right
Yes.
there by the, there's a power station there.
Yes,
It's where
yeah,
it has to cross over.
Yeah.
We kind of lucked onto that, just trying to find it.
yeah. And that reflects a 30% increase from the old rate from 5 years ago.
You anticipated my question.
And it's in line with the other easements we've granted and approved for Slick Networks and
And Anthony's been looking at all of those and
Good.
we, between Patty and all of us, we just kind of looking and we need to bring a lot of those in line with what their value is.
Okay. Resolution before you. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
It's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Coffey?
Yes.
Mr. Burns?
Yes.
Yes.
You. Agenda item A2.
After thorough review and evaluation of those applications selected for further consideration, interviews were conducted with candidates for the senior administrative assistant position. Based on the results of those interviews, it is recommended that Karen Blackburn be appointed to the position of senior administrative assistant at the starting salary of $53,000 per year, prorated, effective on or about March 6, 2023, with a 1-year probationary period and management confidential benefits.
Jen, do you have any comments?
Just commenting that the interview with Ms. Washburn, Blackburn, sorry, was very impressive. It was very enjoyable. She's, I think, highly qualified to do the job. And I'm just really happy to, have her move forward. Recommendation.
Tony?
I agree. I was very impressed by Karen, and I'm hopefully we're going to have her on, depending on what you guys say. But I would recommend that she'd be hired and brought on a team.
Good.
She'll be a good asset.
Motion.
Oh, yes, I'll so move.
And I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Not, Jen, call the roll, please.
Yes.
Mr. Coffin?
Yes.
Mr. Burns?
Yes,
Yes. Yes.
thank you. That will be a much needed addition to staff. So I'll get my agenda earlier now, is that?
I would not.
Easy there, fella.
That is not a fair workout.
I just thought I'd throw it out there. Agenda item D1,
Okay, approval of lease supplement number 3 with Glenda Jones. Staff has negotiated lease supplement number 3 with Glenda Jones for 292 square feet of office space in Suite 210 of the Bridge Administration Building for a 1-year period commencing April 1st, 2023 and terminating March 31st, 2024 at a rate of $9.25 per square foot, equaling $225 per month, $2,700 for the 1-year period, inclusive of utilities. All other terms and conditions of the original lease agreement shall remain in full force and effect and are hereby ratified and affirmed. Glenda's been with us for a number of years now. She's been a great tenant. I'm happy to keep her. And this is reflects an increase. That's it.
thank you. Is there a motion?
I'll so move.
It's been made, second.
A second.
Any, Jen, call the roll, please.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
thank you. Agenda item B2,
Okay. Approval of lease supplement number 2 with Knudsen Systems Incorporated. Staff has negotiated lease supplement number 2 with Knudsen Systems Incorporated for 180 square feet of office space in Suite 209 of the Bridge Administration Building for a 2-year period commencing June 1st, 2023 and terminating May 31st, 2025 at a rate of $16 per square foot, equaling $240 per month, $2,880 annually, inclusive of utilities. All of the terms and conditions of the original lease agreement shall remain in full force and effect and are hereby ratified and affirmed.
thank you. Is there a motion?
A second.
Been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
I'm curious to know what's the rationale behind the different per square foot rates?
So originally, we were trying to get to a $15 to $16 a square foot rate. Glenda's rates were calculated using the wrong square footage originally, years back. So to bring her up to the same
You're doing
rate,
it in steps.
yeah, it would be, 80% increase year on year. It just couldn't do it. So, yeah.
Sounds fair. Any other discussion? Jen, call the roll, please. Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
thank you. Agenda item C1, please.
Okay, approval of lease agreement with NAC Logistics. Staff has negotiated a new lease agreement with NAC Logistics for 10,000 square feet of warehousing space in Building 3 of the Commerce Park campus for an 18-month period commencing March 1st, 2023 and terminating August 31st, 2024 at a rate of $4.34 per square foot, equaling $3,616.67 per month, $65,106 for the 18-month period. NAC Logistics is responsible for the rated share of all utilities. NAC Logistics is a current tenant of ours. This is presented to you as a new agreement. What we're trying to do is periodically we update the terms of our lease agreements, and based on the longevity she's had with us, it was right thing to do to implement the new terms of agreement. So that's a habit and a practice that we're going to carry moving forward. In the future, you shouldn't see lease supplements 10, 15. We want to really cap them, a few years of those and refresh, because terms do, get updated from time to time. So.
Mhm. Okay, is there a motion? Been made,
Second.
seconded. Any discussion? None, Jen, call the roll, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. Thank you. The next agenda item, I think, requires some discussion regarding actually a negotiation with a business. Is that correct, Mr. Mark?
That's correct. I don't know about you, but could we take care of other such matters first? Because it would require us going into executive session.
You would rather move
I would rather move
D1,
to do F1, 2, and 3. Those were other such matters that were before you.
Those we just passed out this evening.
okay. Is there a motion to move agenda items F1, 2, and 3 up to this point and discuss agenda item D1 in executive session?
So moved.
Second.
It's been made and seconded. Any discussion on that? This is changing the agenda. No discussion. Call the roll, please.
Yes.
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 Okay. We will discuss agenda item F1.
The repair of 2 sections of the administration building's boiler is essential. This boiler is the primary heat source for the administration building. Staff received 4 quotes to repair the boiler. Northern Mechanical was the lowest bid. The quote from Northern Mechanical to make the necessary repairs is $15,500. This quote includes all labor and materials to provide replacement of the 2 sections. The lead time on scheduling the repairs is 12 to 15 weeks. It is in the best interest of the authority to move forward with Northern Mechanical in repairing the boiler.
Is it still operational?
Yes,
Oh,
it's
so it's
leaking.
not as of 12 to
Yeah,
15.
no, yeah,
It's
that's,
just looking a little.
yeah, but it will, we're just hoping to get through the season. And then, well, even with the lead time, we have to work out some other things, so I don't want, we're just, that's the reason we're coming here. If it was something we can hold off to the end of the year and not, and then get it approved, but being the lead time is 15 weeks, James felt we might as well get going on it.
Okay.
Place an order now.
Well,
Do you
don't
think
wait till
this
it's done.
bid is reasonable for like what it would cost to replace, repair boiler?
Yeah, and a new boiler's somewhere 65 to 70,000.
80 something.
Is it 80?
80.
Yeah. I know I think we had it replaced 10 years ago for 40. That was a brand new one, 10 or 12 years ago for roughly 40. And that was, yeah. So,
That's a good leave. 10 years without any major repairs.
Steam boiler.
Mhm.
Okay, is there a motion?
We actually got lucky where the repair is needed, or it could have been even more expensive. Not to make these any better.
Motion's been made. Is there a second? Is
I'll second.
there any further discussion?
Yeah, just a question about, sorry, about, will this fix it for a while, do you think? I mean, I guess.
Yes. Yep.
On this, experience, I just wonder if that is.
A Band-Aid, eh?
What I worry about is the Band-Aid. Realize the price of the boiler.
I think it will
Feel
eventually,
confident about that, I'm fine.
if finances allowed, it would be great to have a secondary boiler.
Up until that time, Dave, we had dual boilers and they'd alternate. And this one was quite frankly, there's one down there now that needs to be removed and replaced. But we've been just relying on this one. It's been more energy efficient than the old ones, but it's run the whole time with that. Whereas if we could have kept that other one going, it would have you'd get a little more life out of what we have now. Thank you.
Dave?
Yes.
Anyone else?
These are just choices, aren't they?
There's choices.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
I feel good about this.
No further discussion? Jen, call the roll, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
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 Agenda item F2.
Agenda item F2 is basically the approval of a grant from the New York State Department of Transportation for the airport drainage improvement construction phase 4 of the at Augsburg Airport. That's part of the construction. So the authority has received an aviation project funding agreement from the New York State Department of Transportation, which provides for airport drainage improvements, construction phase 4 at the Augsburg International Airport, identified as NYDOT PIN 7903.15. The Augsburg Bridge and Port Authority desires to advance the project by committing funds for the local match. The breakdown of funding shares being the FAA will fund this at $2,380,655. New York State DOT with their state share will be $62,649. And the Augsburg Bridge and Port local share will be the same, $62,649. The total project cost is $2,505,593. The maximum state share payable, just so you understand, can go up to 15%. So I stated that in there, that should things, that's the maximum. They will pay. Anything over that will be our responsibility, but it is roughly $10,000 higher than what the bid, what to go through with this project. Staff recommends acceptance of the grant offer from New York State Department of Transportation for work at the Augsburg International Airport describes as airport drainage improvements, construction phase 4 at the Augsburg International Airport, identified as NYDOT PIN 7903.15. Any questions?
No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to understand how it worked. So if the state's share goes up, like to the 72 or whatever, does ours still maintain 62 or are we always going to mirror
I
the
think,
state?
yeah, we'll mirror, like if.
So if they're
well, there'd be a
72,
share.
we're 72.
Yeah, so in other words, if their max was roughly 10,000,
Mhm.
somehow we'd be, we'd split that. They wouldn't.
Okay, I was just
No.
wondering if we were frozen or if we were just
No,
mirroring.
but ours isn't frozen, or ours
Yeah.
go up, they would take that.
So we can exceed the 72.
Exactly, yeah.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
I understand.
It would be nice if they put 72 and we put 52. Just saying.
Yeah.
Steve, is that at the, is it the 7 end of the runway? Is that right?
9,
Or 9?
yeah, it's not. And what you'll see, part of this is we're gonna fill in, we have some water retention areas that also are attractants to wildlife, that when they're full or semi-full, they attract wildlife. So those were all done during the airport runway expansion in 2016. Those will be filled in, and then there'll be regrading out there that will take, currently the outfalls can't handle or don't handle all the water around the terminal, then going toward the FBO and where the tower is. So everything will flow toward that. But what you're gonna see is a big part of this project is there's gonna be an open cut on 812. And we can't tunnel underneath it. So there'll be some traffic stoppage and a light that you'll have to work around that when they're doing that. Barrett Paving got the project, and the timing wasn't right, so they didn't want to take it on because of supply chain issues with pipe and things like that. So they agreed to hold their price, and they'll probably start here the end of April, I imagine, maybe sooner. But I don't know if I answered your question, Sam, but
Yes.
Generally around the terminal, it's very wet and water is slow to move away. So that we want to increase that so that when we add to the terminal, we're going to add to the apron. And with that going out there, we want to make sure we can take care of all of the runoff and sheet flow and get that over to an area where it settles, and then it will, when it overflows, it goes out underneath the roadway. We have an access area for our outfall right out to the river.
Also got you.
And there will end up being some more conduits under 812.
It'll be
Not-
one,
not-
a larger one.
Yeah.
Larger pipe.
Yeah.
Because that dictated the open cut. If we could have gone through with something, I guess, and like you say, for sure, whether it's something less than 36 inch, you could do that without disrupting that. But to actually put in something that just barely does it isn't prudent. So they probably to size that for future, so that you don't have to go back and visit that again.
Is that an issue with the run coming from Hubleton?
Was that what? No, no, it won't be. They'll just go underneath. That's a force main,
Yes.
and it's probably been marked, and wherever they cross near the road, they'll have to go underneath that.
I seem to be almost done with that.
Yeah, I haven't really checked with them. I think they've got quite a bit of that being done.
How that fits in with our terminal construction that will happen out there.
I think it'll work well. We just haven't gotten around to kind of the nuts and bolts of how that'll work, whether they'll come in from the front roadway or from our side there, but they're aware of what we're trying to do.
Okay. Good. Motion
So
made, second,
Okay.
seconded. Any further discussion? See, the secretary needs to sign off on this.
I feel in the-
Don't let them get away. If none, Jen, call the roll, please.
Yes.
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 Thank you. Agenda item F3.
F3 is similar. It's a certified resolution that we have to submit with our grant application with the DOT, but it's for a different project. The authority has received an aviation project funding agreement with New York State Department of Transportation, which provides for construct of a new 17,000 square foot snow removal equipment building, including associated apron and access road. And then you see in there dash design. This is for design work. Even though you see construct in there, that's just the title of the project. So this is for design work at the Ogdensburg International Airport, identified as New York State DOT PIN 7903.14. The Ogdensburg Bridge Port Authority desires to advance the project by committing funds for the local match. The breakdown of the funding shares being the FAA would be, their share would be $423,700. New York State DOT would be $11,150. Ogdensburg Bridge and Port local share would be $11,150 for a total project cost of $446,000. Once again, the maximum state share payable is 15% over the 11.5, and that number is $12,822.50. Staff recommends acceptance of a grant offer from the New York State Department of Transportation for work at the Ogdensburg International Airport described as construct a new 17,000 square foot snow removal equipment building, including associated apron and access road dash design at the Youngsburg International Airport, identified as New York DOT pin 7903.14.
So this is just architectural and engineering.
Correct.
Right, it's not the actual construction of the building. What would we be looking at for a building, 17,000 square feet?
I'm sorry, what would be what
A building,
for cost?
yes.
I think it was 4.4 maybe.
That we're not looking to do soon?
It'll probably be, I would imagine it'll probably be, I would say end of 24 or most likely 25.
The funding comes from,
Well, it would come from the entitlement grant, but if we're not in that program, then we would be back to the way where we go and we say, we want to build this, and if the funds are there, then we're in line with everybody else. We may not get funded, but we are in the bucket, so to speak. And that's how it used to be. It used to be if we wanted to redo a runway, we didn't have that entitlement money, but we put that up to the FAA and they'd say, we have funding for you, we'll do that. Or they could say, well, you gotta wait till next year. The thing with the entitlement money, that allows you to take care of your own things as you see fit, or save them and use them differently there. So if we were to miss this year, we will have to look at our capital plan and see how that money and things may have to be put off.
Right.
But that isn't to say that you can't put forward projects
Right.
for that year.
right, but it's nice when we can control our own destiny.
Exactly. You know, when we've been able to do that, that's the
Yes.
advantage of that.
So the building that's out there now with the $800,000 piece of equipment that we have, is that what we're gonna put in this building, or? This is additional equipment?
Excuse me. Is that what's going in this building? Yes.
So what are we gonna use that building for?
That's considered a transient hangar. So if somebody wants to rent it,
How big a plane would fit inside that hangar?
I know, probably nothing bigger than a Pilatus, I think.
Right.
Could be basically a small, an executive jet.
So it would take probably a 25,000 square foot building with higher ceiling to hold a jet aircraft that
Embraer
holds
175.
50 passengers.
Yes.
Okay. Again, we're looking at probably up to 5 million for that.
I would imagine I'd probably wouldn't be as elaborate, but you'd need the heating and fire protection,
Right.
but basically a covering for a large, either for repair or overnight storage of a commuter jet.
Pass that down to Mr. King, would you please?
I think I know what you're thinking. Is there a way we can plan for a larger building? Potentially.
Not with this one. Is lower, and we kind of approved that on our CIP, I believe, a year ago, that's, that wasn't a larger hangar wasn't a focus. But I know where you're headed with that given where we are now, maybe that wasn't, you couldn't see into the future, but
Right.
that might be something we need to talk about.
So I guess my question then is, what does that mean to us? Basically, we're limited to this. Right.
Yeah, because of how we've moved our money around. That, the one thing I will say is parallel to the current transient hangar, the plan was always to put another hangar in there. And I'll say previously it was just talked about another one that size. But you could always, with the space that we have out there, you could just go right off of that apron with
Right.
a much larger hangar that would, and the asphalt and everything would take a larger jet. We have the space for it, but we didn't have that focus when we're doing our capital plan.
The construction of the existing apron over there could hold the weight of a jet,
Oh, yes, definitely.
I thought.
So I'm just confused about whether, I guess, and I'm gonna ask you, if we don't approve this, what does that mean? That I catch to start with?
Yes,
That it would then put us behind the eight balls?
Yeah, it wouldn't speed anything up for an alternate thing, but it also would, there's also been quite a bit of work done on
Already
this
done.
already that we've authorized. That, you can always put it on hold, but also we have said to the state and to the FAA, and that's what we're saying here, is that we want to commit to that. If you don't want to do that, then you're telling them, you're sending mixed signals. So
no, I understand what you're saying, and I agree with it. But we haven't looked at a scenario where we develop another building over on that side
correct.
that could house an aircraft.
Yeah, and that isn't to say you get the design. We haven't approved going forward with the construction.
Right.
I mean, there's where you could say, well, it's to us, it's 11 or whatever. I gave it away, 11 something that's going for design. And then it just sits there and you say, okay, what can't, let's put that to the side. And then look at, possibly doing a hangar.
What if we had a partner? I'm thinking out loud for a second, but what if we partnered with, say, an airline? I don't know if we could or couldn't, but let's say they said, we had Legion here in the past. What if Legion came to us and said, oh, you're sorry about this. When we build this thing.
Pick another airline.
Well, yeah, but the reason I picked
No,
that
no,
is
I
that they have a larger plane. So
Right,
sure,
right.
Well, that would be probably your model.
What if they came to us and said, we will partner with you to help you, can we build a bigger, I realize we have good funding, and if they came to us and said, can we give you the extra, whatever it is, to partner with that building, or partner with that building?
No, not on this one.
You can't build a bigger building than this 17,000 square foot.
No, because it's a different style of building. It's lower. It's got all that design it brings with it, fire protection, and then the uses for snow removal. So
Specific-
you've got doors on each side.
Specific use then, and that's,
It's just,
Alright.
I mean,
what's
It
the-
can't be for hangars, what you're basically saying.
no, this building couldn't, and not where it's located. It's in behind there. It's not in that spot that I was talking about.
And is the square footage based on what we have for equipment?
Yes,
So
the existing building
you can't, we would
is
like,
17?
yeah, it's 17,000, and so they'll only pay for, you can't say, well, we think, they're gonna look at what we have for equipment,
Right,
and there's a given amount of square footage that they'll allow you. You can't go, well, we want to do 30,000 because we think we're gonna have 4 other pieces of
Right.
equipment. So that dictates that. And then there's parts of this building that are nice to haves that they will not pay for. So some of that building, there may be just empty space that gets fixed up later. If you wanted to put in, whether locker room, there's certain things they won't pay for in an SRE building.
Okay, I'm
See,
good.
my day job, we would have a budget, and then we would say, how many bays can we build? And we build, and somebody would just say, well, do I need 3 or 4? And I'd say, as many as you can afford, because you will fill them all. And I feel that that's the same in this regard, right? So, that's why, that's the basis of my question.
Mhm.
But it sounds like this is snow removal.
Yeah,
Well, I am thinking that, and I'm dealing with memory, which these days apparently is fragile. I'm thinking that we had a discussion about 18 months ago about a very successful weekend when a lot of private planes came in
Mhm.
and we had no place where we could put them overnight. And that we would have had more and that they would have paid more if they could have been inside a hangar. And I don't know how much that really would mean for revenue, but I have had the idea after that discussion that this step would free up the current storage building for a revenue producing
For what it was built for.
facility. Which didn't sound like a bad thing back then.
No, and when we had Cape Air,
Yeah.
they rented that.
right.
They rent, so that was income producing. And then once Sky West came, their
Yeah.
planes were bigger. They didn't need them. So then, rather than store things over in the winter time, we took it over just to make less wear and tear on the equipment, but
Sure.
also make it easier to operate.
Would the Sky West equipment fit in that hangar?
You know, what you get into is height of detail
Sure.
and the way that's built, but
Got it.
that transient hangar was originally built for FedEx package planes, and we got money to build it, and then FedEx pulled out. FedEx was in the old, if you all remember that old
Yep.
terminal, they had the garage part of it, and they would come in every day, and it was a trial thing. And we didn't have, what they wanted to do was have all the conveyors and everything all in a transient hangar, and we built that for them.
Mhm.
And in the middle of building that, they pulled out. So, but we still said, oh, it was still a good thing, hopefully that, to your point, that you could always, and Cape Air took most of it
Mhm.
with their size plane.
So also with the recommendation of the consultant, right, to really build out our FBO capabilities. So this in turn would be one of those capabilities for revenue generation.
Mhm.
So if you think about it, it actually kills 2 birds with 1 stone.
So hang on to the thought. That we can talk about soon.
Okay.
Okay, I'm good with the, anyone else have any discussion? I'm sorry, was this moved? No. No. Is there a motion
I'll make the motion.
been made? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Made and seconded. Any further discussion? Not Jen, call the roll, please.
Yes.
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 Okay, Mr. Warren takes care of other
Yes, thank you,
matters.
Mr. Chairman.
Is there a need for executive session?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if you need to go into executive session for matters relating to section 105F of the open meetings law, which is the medical, financial, credit, and employment history of a particular person or corporation, and matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation.
Thank you. Jennifer, but
I was like, why do they both do that?
yeah,
Leave the lonely table.
Walking it through.
as,
Okay.
as we, the other thing, we're still in executive session, we're still regarding We're on? Okay. It is 7 o'clock. We're coming out of executive session. Mr. Lawrence, is there any business to be conducted?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, there's a need to approve board resolution.
Approval of recruitment agreement with Stephen Baldwin Associates. Stephen Baldwin Associates will provide recruitment services to the Ogdensburg Bridge and Port Authority to obtain a new airport manager for the Ogdensburg International Airport. This service will be outside the scope of the current retainer between the two parties. The normal fee for recruitment services is 30% of the successful candidate's first year salary. However, as the OBPA has an air services consulting retainer with Stephen Baldwin, the recruitment fee would be 25% of the successful candidate's first year salary. The terms and conditions of the current retainer agreement would remain in force and hereby ratified and affirmed.
Thank you. I know there isn't an end time. Is there any discussion on when we would hope that this could be taken care of, as far as when they could either report who's interested in being interviewed, or, I mean, I don't want this to be open-ended.
No, I believe this would take, start to finish, would probably take a month and a half.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know what's clear already in the discussions with Stephen Baldwin, but I would really favor having the final applicant, or if somebody recommended more than one applicant, meet the staff and have the staff have a chance to have a perception of the person before a decision's made.
It's fair.
Yep.
Very good. Okay. Dave?
I make a wrong assumption that we're doing the hiring or they're doing the hiring.
They will do the recruitment.
Recruitment, we do the interviews and hire.
Good.
So are you talking about the, just for clarification, the candidates that Stephen Baldwin would send to us to then, you would like to meet those, or after we do the interviews at our level?
Personnel committee you're referring to.
Yeah, it'd be fine if the personnel committee, but I want to make sure
Great,
that
okay.
our staff, that Steve and Patty and so forth, know
James?
the staff. Thanks, James.
They can
That you know,
They can
You would allow them.
know these people
They
before
can
the
sit in
decision's
and-
made.
We would include that
Manny,
in
Mo, and
the
Charlie.
committee. the
No
interview
questions
process.
asked.
Excellent.
Good.
Well, no,
Anything else? Any other discussion? Their motion
Make a motion.
been made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And seconded? No further discussion? Jen, call the roll, please.
Ms. Burton?
Yes.
Mrs. Benton?
Yes.
Ms. Handy?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Yes.
George, anything else?
that'll do it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, is there any concluding comments from board members? I see no one online.
That's good, okay.
Jennifer, anything? Our attorney, anything?
Nothing, thank you.
All right, thank you for being there.
My pleasure.
Any comments from any member, any board member or staff? Again, no one else is online. Our next meeting date is proposed to be March 9th, Thursday at 5 PM. How's that for everyone's schedule?
I won't be present. But that's fine, carry on.
Oh my God. Everyone else okay?
Mhm.
All right. And you'll check with Miss, thank you, Terminelli? Yes? All right. In light of that, is there a motion to adjourn? Made? Seconded. Those in favor for adjournment say aye. Anyone opposed? Hearing no opposition, we stand adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks,
And
everybody.
so